Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Gary Diogi, and welcome to my third video in a series of videos called Fit Before 40, the Summer Cut. Um, this particular video, I'm going to talk about my nutrition program, and then if I have time, I'll talk about my training program. But to talk about my last video, talking about supplements, the supplements I'll be taking, a question that might come up is, do I really need to take supplements in a day or just to work out? The answer is no. If you could meal prep a whole day, and that would be the perfect way, actually. Yeah, it's perfect if each meal is just a perfect balance of protein, carbs, and fats, and also like fruits and vegetables and stuff. Um, yeah, that's perfect. Go that route. Highly recommend it. But if for whatever reason you can't do that for a day, then you can supplement your nutritional needs or supplement what you need for a workout. So, for example, like micronutrients are your vitamins and minerals. You take a vitamin supplement, right? Uh, if I'm not fulfilling my protein needs in a day, then I'll take uh, a protein supplement like Muscle Milk or whatever brand out there. Um, yeah, um, pre-workout. I saw that other pre-workouts are just straight caffeine. Well, instead of taking a caffeine supplement, why not drink tea or coffee? I mean, or even if you have to go that route, soda. So there's different ways um, to do it without supplements, if you will. So there you go. But for myself, and since I'm kind of like reviewing the products too, I'm gonna try the products. I'm gonna taste the products. I'm gonna see if it works. How I feel. The before and after effects is, do I have any side effects? Yeah, I'll let you know how it is. I have a good palate, so good sense of smell, good palate. So I'll let you know how it tastes. If it's good, if it sucks. Yeah, so I'll let you know. All right. So um, yeah, so that's that in regards to supplements. Okay, so my nutrition program. So what's trending as far as diets, right? There's intermittent fasting. There's if it fits my macros, or they call it macronutrient dieting or flexible dieting. Uh, Paleo, vegan, South Beach, Mediterranean, counting calories, low cal, uh, low carb, low fat, right? So there's many different diet plans, meal plans, diet plans, right? Programs. So, um, but what I'm gonna do is it's almost a little bit of everything, right? So, um, definitely gonna keep track of my calories. I'm definitely gonna keep track of my macronutrients, keep track of my fiber, and try to stick to like whole foods as possible, and then take supplements if I need to. Um, I'm gonna go over a little bit about macronutrient dieting. The idea of that is basically focusing on your macronutrients, which is your protein, fiber, and fats. Your micronutrients will be your vitamins and minerals. But the reason why they focus on the macronutrients is because if you're just focusing on calories, but you're not focusing on where the calories are coming from, then there's going to be an imbalance because you're not keeping track of it. So, for example, and sometimes calories uh, per like pro- protein, fats, and carbs, um, they're sometimes they don't equate. But I'll go over that in a second. But yeah, so for example, if you're hitting your calorie intake, but you're really low on carb, let's say low on protein, and you're wondering why you're still hungry and you're not seeing any muscle tone or muscle mass, there's a reason why, because there's an imbalance. And then if you're not gaining a cut because your fat intake is high, your carbohydrate intake is high, and your protein is low, there's a reason. There's an imbalance. So keeping track of your macronutrients is important. And then so how and to show how relative it is to calories. So 1 gram of protein, 1 gram of carbohydrates, they're both 4 calories, right? So 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories. Um, 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. Okay, so if you were to do the math and say, for example, just a portion of it, I'm gonna try to hit like 180 to 200 grams of protein. So if I try to hit 200 grams of protein, and then 1 gram is 4 calories, then 4 times 200 is 800 calories. So I'm gaining 800 calories just from protein alone. Now, if I'm going 200 grams of carbs too, which is probably what I'm going to do anyways, then that's another 800. So that's 1600 calories. So what's left for fat? And if I'm going to try to hit, say, around 2000 calories total per day, then that leaves about 400 calories in fat. So 9 into 400, do the math. That's like what, 40, 36, about 44 grams of fat. So yeah, but with flexible dieting, or the macronutrient dieting, or if it fits your macros, the idea is, well, say I eat a little bit more fat in a day than I intended to, then I'll just decrease the carbohydrate intake. So then I'm hitting my macronutrients in a sense that my calories is not deviating too high or too low. Okay, so that's kind of the other idea of the macronutrient dieting. All right. So am I going to do that? I'll try. We'll see. But yeah, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you one of the apps I'm going to be using. The other apps I'm going to be using will be calculating basal metabolic rate. So the two apps that I'm trying out right now is the basal metabolic rate calculator, and then the Fat to Fit, which is a basal metabolic rate calculator as well. So basal metabolic rate is basically knowing your minimum calories burned for whatever reason. So if you just need to know the minimum calories burned just in a normal day without like any strenuous activity, such as like a workout, just like bare minimum calories burned because you're doing a desk job, just walking from car to office, and yeah, and then you're sitting on the couch for the rest of the day chilling. So that's your basal metabolic rate. So there's a few equations that do that for you, but that you can calculate freehand, but the apps do it for you. And then what they use, the equation is Harris-Benedict. If you care to know about the formula, if you're a mathematics kind of guy or a science guy, there's a Kac-Magarth formula, and what I've used before is the Lohmann equation. All of them will be relatively close in calculations, give or take 50 to 100 calories, which is can or cannot be a big deal. It depends. You really shouldn't be so focused on the calories anyways, but man, if it's just 50 100 calories, that's not really a big deal. All right, so especially if you don't know exactly how many calories you're burning anyways, because even with like gadgets and gizmos, keeping track of your calories, it could be off too. All right, so yeah, let me show you the equations, and then the other app that I use is MyFitnessPal to keep track of calories and macronutrients and my fiber. All right, so I'm gonna pause for a moment, and then I'll show you on the next. Okay, we're back. But before I continue on, I just reviewed that last clip when the battery ran out, or the time ran out. But macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, fats. I accidentally said fiber. But now you know what I mean. So as far as resting metabolic rate, so here's some of the equations. So the ones I used to do by hand is the Lohmann equation. So it is basically 9 times your weight in kilograms, in which I convert from pounds to kilograms, and plus 11.7 times height in centimeters, so I convert from feet and inches to centimeters, and then minus 857 in the equals your resting metabolic rate. And then so when I do the math, this is the total, 1988 calories, 1,988 calories. Now if we were to go to MyFitnessPal, this is one of the apps that I use. I guess this is the goals subtitle, but if you go under home, this is what it would look like, and then I would input 1,988 for example, which in goals. Now this is a little bit of a preview of how I set up my my website and app. So at least my numbers. So I have the free version. I don't have it all unlocked, but I don't need the unlocked version anyways, so I don't need to really pay for that. It's all estimates anyways. So when I go to edit, I put in my caloric intake. So this is my BMR, basal metabolic rate, 1,988. Also with that, if I use the BMR calculator app or the Fat to Fit app, it's roughly around the same, give or take 50 to 100 calories, which is not a big deal. It's not that serious if it's, you know, that close of a number. So approximations, right? Because you'll be approximating how much you burn anyways, as far as how many calories you use in a day, unless you have a gadget or gizmo like Fitbit or something that keeps track of your calories burned, or even like Polar, which it keeps track of your calories burned as well. Whatever. But anyways, that's that. So I just adjusted to 174 grams. So I mean, you could adjust the percentages. I could easily go up to 40, and then I'll be at 199. But it's hard for me to hit 200 grams of protein, let alone 180. I'll be shooting for 180, but I'm setting it to 174 for now. Carbohydrates around 174. I know if I'm between the range of 150 grams to 200 grams of carbohydrates, I'm fine, especially when I time it out and break it down through my day. And then fats around 66 grams, which is kind of like the average. You'll see it on the nutritional facts of a label. Okay, and then if we go to settings, what I do is it settings? Settings, password, diary settings. There we go. The nutrients I keep track of is protein, fiber, fat, carbohydrates, and sugar. Reason why I'm keeping a close eye on the sugar is just because too much sugar is bad for you, so I want to keep it as low as possible. Sugar is in a lot of food, especially if it's simple sugar, so I want to keep that as low as possible. It's bad for your heart too, hardens your arteries and veins, so I want to keep that low as possible. Because at the same time, if you're doing what do you call it, macronutrient dieting, and you're not keeping track of your sugars, and say you want to boost your carbohydrates, and in one sitting you get a lot of sugar in your meal, then which means that you might be eating something high glycemic, which it means like your carbohydrates are absorbed very quickly into your system. Then it boosts your insulin levels, try to balance out your sugar levels in your blood system, and then it just becomes a roller coaster ride, and that's how we get into what do you call it, diabetes and stuff. So basically, eating more low glycemic foods and then keeping my sugar levels low. So meals, I break it down to 6 of them total. I don't put it at times because I come into work, or I wake up for work various times. Lately I've been waking up like 3:45, 4 in the morning, and then so my first meal would vary. So I know I could get 2 morning meals before lunch, which is lunch is around 11 o'clock, between 10 and 12 o'clock, and then have lunch, and then afternoon meal, which might be my pre-workout meal, or depending when I work out, if it's during my lunch break or at the end of a day, and then dinner, and then a night snack. If I'm still hungry before I go to bed, then I could input stuff right there. So that's what that looks like. So if I were to scroll up and then go to foods, just to see how it looks like as I keep track, this is what it looks like on the website. So it's all categorized like that, with the calories, proteins, fiber, fat, carbs, and sugar emphasized, and then the totals that I would try to reach, and then how it's broken down. Alright, I'm gonna pause for a second. Okay, so I just showed you how I use my MyFitnessPal app. Alright, so like I said, I'll be doing a variation of macronutrient dieting. I will be sticking to like whole foods, meal prepping as much as possible. I didn't show footage, but like for example, I went grocery shopping yesterday or the other day, and bought chicken. It was mostly drumsticks, but I could like remove the skin so it'll be lean, right? So fruits. For now, it's apples, oranges, and pears. And at times I'll get bananas. And then vegetables. Vegetable wise, we get frozen vegetables. Basically, since it's frozen, nutrients are still kept within the vegetables, and it'll just last longer because they're frozen. Can you freeze vegetables, fresh vegetables? I guess you can, if you like them fresh. That's great because if you're meal prepping those foods right away, fresh vegetables, then you know it won't like go bad. And I think for myself and for my family, it's just better to get frozen, just in case we don't have time to meal prep right away, and the food won't go bad. It just, you know, I feel bad personally if food goes bad in the fridge and then gets wasted. So try not to waste food. Um, yeah, so a variation of macronutrient dieting, sticking to foods that I prep, healthy foods mostly. Um, there's such a thing as high glycemic and then low glycemic foods. So basically, high glycemic foods are your foods that that have carbohydrates or sugars, but then they're fast absorbing sugars in which it gets absorbed into your system rapidly, as opposed to a low glycemic carbohydrate that would probably be more higher in fiber and then gets absorbed a little bit slower in your system. So with that, then like sugars are released a little bit slower, they're digested slower. So then the sugars are released slower into your bloodstream. Um, so with that, then eating more low glycemic foods will prevent like the highs and lows of the sugars in your system. So like less crash, right? But I will be timing those high glycemic foods like before a workout, and after a workout, because I might need that energy to have a good workout. So that'll be a time I'll have like tropical fruit like a banana before a workout, or something that might be fast absorbing like what Marshawn Lynch does in Seattle Seahawks when he has Skittles during a game. It's like fast absorbing sugars. And then after a workout, you need those fast absorbing sugars to restore or replenish the glycogen you lost in your system from working out. So that's kind of like part of the meal timing that I'll be doing, breaking it down 6 meals. I thinking about doing the intermittent fasting as well. I've been doing a little bit of it just to play with it to see what it's like. And basically, intermittent fasting is when you there's 3 variations of it, but basically in a nutshell, in your 24-hour day, you're fasting as much as possible, because basically what you're trying to do is having your body tap into your fat source as energy. So basically, like fat, tapping into that fat metabolism, if you will. I think partly it's because I think your body's thinking it's going in survival mode, so let's go into that fat. Let's go into that fat source. So I, the nice thing about intermittent fasting is what I've done is after my last meal of the day, which is dinner, and then I'll be finished eating, say like around 8 o'clock. The next morning I'll wake up at 3:45, 4 in the morning to get ready for work. But usually I drink up like a couple cups of water in the morning, and I don't really eat till it's like 7 or 8 o'clock, 6, 7 or 8 o'clock. So that's about 10 to 12 hours fasted. Um, and then so with that, and then I'll eat, and then my window of eating will be about 8 hours. So, and one of the variations of intermittent fasting allows a window of eating about 8 hours, and then like up to like 16 to 20 hours of fasting. Um, that's pretty hard to do. I usually go like about 10 to 12 hours fasted. But anyways, what's nice about that is it helps keep my caloric intake lower. Um, and then there's the question of like when I get hungry and then start binge eating. Like one of the books that goes over intermittent fasting says quite the opposite, that it will actually keep it keeps you from eating or binging psychologically. So that's what they put. So that's what I'm gonna do basically. It's so I'm gonna be keeping track of my calories, hitting my BMR. I'm gonna be shooting for about 180 grams of protein, carbohydrates between 150 to 100 grams of carbohydrates, mostly low glycemic, unless I time it just right with the high glycemic carbohydrates before and after a workout. If I have a high glycemic carbohydrate like white rice or pasta, any other time of the day, it could potentially turn into fat storage. And plus the sugars makes me want to eat more, just because that's just how my palate is. So it's just timing those foods in particular. Fats, stick to the healthy fats, avocado, nuts, and then cooking with olive oil. And saturated fat, it'll just come through like the beef and stuff. But if I stay away from junk food, then I'll stay away from the bad saturated fats as well. So that's the plan, and may or may not do the intermittent fasting. Okay. Also, one more thing. One of the supplements that I'll be using as well is the Avocare Spark, and so with that, it has I think 120 milligrams of caffeine, and it has amino acids, and then also has, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, it has some vitamins like vitamin B, some minerals like zinc and chromium, and then amino acids. So proteins are mood elevators, and then it helps you focus. So that's good about amino acids. Caffeine will help me focus, and then chromium helps like depress your appetite, so you're not always eating as much. And vitamin B helps metabolize, helps with your metabolism for energy. But I'm gonna use Avocare Spark is what it's called, the mango strawberry, only if I need to, and that's mostly for like driving home from work, because I'm especially tired after a long day, and the commute is a bit of a struggle, and trying to drive without caffeine and being tired, it's a little scary. So I'm gonna be using that. Now if I run out of all the other supplements, I'll probably use that as a pre-workout too. Yeah, if the other supplements are handy. So that's the plan. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, share. Until next time, I'll talk about my training program. So this is more of like a nutrition program vid. All right. Until next time, God bless. Have a great day.